that music is getting better every week,
I
man.
know.
I
I
sit
was
there,
gonna come in kind of like dancing, like grooving with
yeah.
it because
That's
it's like
bobbing.
it's catchy. It gets in my head. Yeah,
Yeah, and using the earbuds now, I mean, it makes it like I'm listening to music at
like
work, and I'm just
surround
like, just
sound, like you're there at the concert. So
that's right. I'm trying to be more active in the comments section. This is just a new Dustin, new Wednesday. We're ready to roll, my friend.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, we got Ryan here. We got Becker.
Oh, and
People are
real quick
coming
about
in.
Becker. Oh, hey Ryan, hey Becker. I didn't want to bury the lead and forget Ryan, but Becker, I think Becker got a shout out on the Ink Pulp podcast by Skottie, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that? I
We,
was wondering if that's who they were talking about, or maybe referring to, or
yeah,
did he give a direct name?
no, he said Mike. He said Mike at one. He's like, I saw it,
Oh,
but it could have been another Mike. It could have been other Mikes,
yeah.
but I thought that's pretty cool. If not, it's still, we all know Becker. We all know
Yeah,
Becker.
you could just like pretend it's you if it wasn't. So
Yeah, so if that's not who Skottie was referencing, that's what I'm taking it as our good buddy Mike Becker coming in here. So either way, welcome to episode 36 of Skottie Talk
goodness, Phew,
with
36.
Dustin and Tyler. I'm Dustin. He's Tyler. Um, yeah, I feel like I still have to say somebody's watching for the first time, going, "What have I stumbled into?"
Wait, who are these people?
Hey, Daniel.
How's it going, Daniel?
Make sure I haven't said.
I may have been involved, Becker says.
Okay, okay. If Becker's listened to the story and knows about Jim and everything that was going on in that, and the Girl Scout, then he knows. Yeah, I'd say that's him and his group. When he said it was a pod of comic fans that go around to different shops together, I just pictured Becker and his crew that he has there, the Kansas City
True,
crew.
true.
So very cool, very cool. I don't know. So whenever I heard Skottie say, I said, I know that guy. I know that guy. I felt like
Mike,
Will Ferrell for Mel. Yeah. So I got overly excited
it's a
about that.
small world. Yeah, that's
That's
us, he
cool.
says.
Well, and that was a very cool story. And if you're watching this show right now, please stop and go watch the Ink Pulp interview with Skottie. It's so much better than anything that me and Tyler will roll out tonight. But if you want to wait, you can wait. But it was a really cool story for Becker and his friends, and an experience they had with the comic shop. I won't spoil it here, but yeah, check out the latest. Well, it's not the latest. I think Brett Beans came out, or does it come out tomorrow?
I think it comes out tomorrow, I think.
Okay,
I don't think
so
it's
it is
out
the
yet.
latest. The latest Ink Pulp podcast that's out right now.
Or no, is it
Great.
today? I think it was today at 7. Maybe it was today.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it said Wednesday or Thursday, or maybe I'm. Well, thank you, Ryan. We do appreciate that, my friend. Okay. All right. Today's normally we phone in our shows, but there was actual some research that went into this episode tonight. Some things I didn't know, some things that Tyler didn't know that we learned together, and learning together is fun. Uh, yeah, I know it's not fair, but hey, we pick where we live, so we can.
Yeah, but honestly, I was thinking about it before the show, and I'm glad I don't, because I was like in my head, I was like, I would have to be like, if we ever ran into each other, I'd be like, okay, I don't worry, I'm never gonna visit this spot again. Like, I'll X this
Yeah.
spot out from my, because I wouldn't
Well,
want to be that like you just see
no,
me and
no,
I'm
no.
like, oh no, like this.
Well, I take it back. We pick where we live, but we all know that Tyler is not allowed to live in Kansas City due to the restraining order. So it's being lifted for 1 week in June for
It's
Heroes.
yeah, it's part of that like once in line, never can't go to KC,
That's
just
right.
it's yeah, the list kind of grows and continues. So
That's right. Let's see what Becker's. I encourage all you to move here, Ryan. I'll give you a booklet of a search. Now, if you start talking about coupons, you've got my attention, sir. I will.
yeah,
I will hop on a plane. I'm not going. I'm not going to pay for a plane. I will.
if
Drive
you
my
give me a
car.
coupon for the plane, then I'll hop on the plane.
Yes. If you have some extra miles, I will not mind to take them one bit.
Exactly.
Well, we don't even need the show about Merch Madness tonight. We can just talk about the love of Casey and all cool things there. The Sudeikuses and
I
Paul
mean,
Rudds and
people
Mike
talk it
Becker.
up, so I've not been myself.
I have not, but it's on my to-go list now. Uh, Stupid Fresh Mess offices are not open to the public, or else it probably would mess up a lot of people's vacation spots quite a bit. So, oh man. Anyway, back to the show. Merch
Merch
Madness.
madness.
We had the upsetting news about Diamond Select Toys and Gentle Giant, and possible no more of the animated statues by Skottie, but we're going to go through and walk through, take a stroll down memory lane and look at those first statues that came out. Well, I think we do about 10. I didn't even count them, Tyler.
It's pretty much all of them here, and then plus a few more non-animated statues, but are still, part of that, given line, if you will. Yeah, no, it's again, it's nice. It's a good reminder that, yeah, I always keep forgetting that. I'm like, man, we're most likely never going to get these, or if we do, it'll be different, or it'll be, who knows when, if we get the pre-orders, all that stuff. So it was nice, yeah, to get to go through these, and as we'll see, like, the covers associated and all that stuff. So I know a lot of people love collecting these, myself included, and yeah, it'll be fun to go through these.
And also, if you didn't know what comic these each came from, these all come from a specific comic that Skottie has did. The only one, the Gert one, which you said is not included here, has some artistic liberties from the cover.
Modifications, yeah.
But the rest of them are pulled straight from covers, so that was fun to see. The disappointed thing, that as we had talked about, not getting any more possibly, the Miles Morales that was previewed was from the big Marvel set. And that was that was a very new book that was cool. And I was thinking, man, we could get a lot of these big Marvel. I mean, those are pretty much. Hey, Seth.
Hello, Seth.
Yeah, those are pretty much perfect for the statue line, because they're all, especially seeing them with the white space. You're thinking, man, these could be perfect opportunities to knock out 27 statues. And we had one. And
and like we had seen too, like, again, I was really excited because of the inclusion of more environment elements, getting a few more pieces in there besides just the character itself. Some of my favorites, are the I Hate Fairyland one. I love the Deadpool, the lemonade type stand, Merc stand. We just talked to you before the show, Seth. We're we're Sethed out,
That's as happy as I can get. But before we get into our show, Tyler doesn't even know about this, because I am full of surprises tonight.
Oh,
yep. Non-Skottie question of the week for anybody in the comment section, which I refuse to call the chat. What is your favorite pizza topping? No, it's not the chat.
We're just chatting.
No, we're Tyler. I'm too old. What favorite pizza topping? Come on, let's see, and we're just going to leave this running. This may be the first and the last time we ever do this segment. But what's your favorite pizza topping, Tyler?
Oh, I'm boring. It's just pepperoni. It's just plain and simple.
Well, this is working
pepperoni,
out swimmingly.
So, yeah.
Pepperoni.
I don't. Again, it's less is more. Keep it simple, stupid. As parents used to say. I just like it plain and simple. Just give me pepperoni or cheese, maybe sausage. But meat lovers, all this stuff. Again, it's all about balance. You get meat lovers and it's like too much meat, or there's not enough meat, or too much bread. It's all about balance with pizza. So
yeah, I should have went with my gut. My other question was, is Beyonce country, and I didn't want to be too controversial for this episode, so I should have went with my gut. That's my fault. That's on me.
No, let's start. I like it starting off simple. So
okay, yeah, I didn't want to get into a fight with anybody in there. I really have no preference.
Well, Ryan added what kind of crust to the question.
Ooh, I don't like modifying my questions. That's kind of, that's pretty bold on Ryan's part there. But thin crust, and barbecue chicken for my topping. Thin crust and barbecue chicken.
Give me that cheese filled crust. I love it filled with cheese.
Ooh, that's good stuff. All right, now I want pizza. Okay, without further delay.
Now off from the munch madness and onto the merch madness, if you will.
Touche. That's what you get here, folks. If you'd like to donate, please click on the link at the bottom. Okay. Oh, barbecue pork for him. Is that at Azit Pizza, the evil pig? That has the pork and the little grippos crumbs on it. Very tasty. Anywho, animated statues round one starts with a non-animated statue. So that's about. Yeah, me too.
I think most people forget this statue. I don't remember when I first learned about this statue, but I don't think I would have made the connection on my own, because again, it's for one, this is a sideshow statue, so it's not Gentle Giant. So it's a little bit different. So they went, more realistic with it. Where again, if we were to get one from Gentle Giant, I would hope it'd be more or closer, to that cover. I love that cover. And the fact they called it Thor Frog. Like you couldn't
Yeah,
just
yeah,
give him his name, Throg, but or Thorg.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why they did that. I mean, this one, 1500 for this type was a pretty high size. It's non-exclusive for Sideshow back then for what's more of a niche character. But I didn't know it was based on Skottie's design, and there was never any credit I could find given to Skottie for this one. But
Yeah.
when you put it back to side by side with Skottie's cover, it's like
It's
if they didn't base it on that cover, then
what else?
it
Yeah.
was one of the covers they had on the wall, or one of the art
Mm.
directions they had on the wall for that one. So this one's still relatively available. I believe the initial price on it was like $99, and you can still get them for 200 to 300. So it's not like it's jumped up in price or anything,
That's
but
not bad.
it's
Yeah. I mean, it
so
would make
fragile, so
sense if,
fragile.
kind of more of a sleeper, like you said, if you're not aware of the statue, you can't just look up Skottie and find it. It's not connected to it really.
And you can't look up Throg and find it either. You got to look up Thor Frog. So I chose Thor
Mm,
Frog. So it's
yeah.
it does fly under the radar, and the little wings make it one that you don't want to see it shipped a bunch of places.
Yeah.
So if you're buying it from someone that's already the third owner and they've got it intact, there's always a chance that you becoming the fourth owner, it's going to snap.
Mm,
The wings are going to snap.
true.
So just
Yeah.
just
Show me the statue facts
oh
is what we're saying here.
yeah, yeah. Hey, Marine, Marine
Hello,
and Scott.
Marine.
And a happy anniversary to Marine and Scott. They had their anniversary this week.
Happy
So,
anniversary. That's awesome. Who was it?
and,
It was Brett. Brett also just shared his
oh,
anniversary.
Brett,
So
Brett, Brett, and
Brett
his wife.
Bean.
Yeah, they both shared their happy anniversary. So
It's a
it's a diorama.
diorama. That's a statue.
If you're selling on eBay, you're going to include every single word that you can to hit people. So, if I was selling the
Exactly.
statue on eBay, it would be Thor Frog, Sideshow Collectibles Toy, Statue Diorama, Maquette.
Yeah.
So it
Sideshow,
would hit
they
everything.
just,
So
I don't know what they were thinking with this one. The other interesting thing too is we'll see here. This was a good 2 years before the actual kickoff of the statues we know and love today.
yeah, they got in
So
early on the train. And I would have thought, man, if Sideshow would have just hung with Skottie's designs and started producing the ones they produced at maybe a slightly larger level, or even at the same level, um, who knows what would have happened.
yeah,
But
it's interesting. Yeah, one of those what if questions.
but at the same time, we did get quite a few from Gentle Giant and later Diamond Select Toys. So it's hard to complain whenever you look over at the shelves and see 40, 50 statues of
Yeah.
these, because if sales wouldn't have been there for Sideshow, they would have dropped it pretty quickly too, like any other line that they had started.
Yeah, no, I don't think, not to say that they wouldn't have done his style and stuff, but again, at least, and as we talked about with other things like Hot Toys and stuff, they've really only started dipping their toes into stylized stuff. They've always been more realism through
Right, right.
Sideshow and stuff. So no, I think yeah, it was good. They went through Gentle Giant. And like you said, we got so many, and with the market price for these, they're a little bit higher than most people would maybe like. So it's
You're
uh
right.
if they would have done more, I can't even imagine, unless they did, what they eventually ended up trying, which we'll get a little glimpse of here on the cheaper side of things. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
the
no,
the other the other issue you run into is whenever Sideshow started doing the artist designs with J. Scott Campbell and Mark Brooks, and I want to say they did the Art Germ, Harley Quinn and Catwoman and Poison Ivy design. But once they start doing those prices are, you're not the 50, $60 that you're paying for the Gentle Giant animated statues would have probably quadrupled at least on the lower end. And
yeah,
I mean, an average statue at Sideshow now for a good size is anywhere from 500 to 1,500. So uh, we can be very fortunate that we got what we got. Now, if we don't get anything else going forward, I'd be glad if Sideshow picked up and said, "Hey, we're going to do some dioramas. We're going to do the 1 in 75 Avengers assembles, all of them together there,
yeah.
based on the work of Scotty Young, on the artwork of Scotty Young. That would be awesome." But uh, before we get to there, we're getting the cart before the horse. The very first released Oh, what's up in that? What's in the top left corner there? I can
Yeah, what
barely
is
see
that?
that.
I
What is
can't.
that?
Yeah, if we zoom in.
Oh, I recognize those fingers. I'd recognize
Yep.
those fingers. How did that?
I
Now,
recognize that broken statue for
yep,
sure.
one
Yeah.
Seth. Yeah,
That's a Seth. I threw that on there for you, Seth. I was like, man, I got it. I was like, I remembered you showing it off, and I was like, I got to grab a picture of this. Um, and I feel your pain. I had the same thing happen to one of my Captain Americas. Thankfully, I found another one at Best Buy for like $8. It was crazy. They had like I've
that's awesome.
hardly ever seen them carry them. They just happen to have Captain America heavily discounted. I was like, well, yeah, I'll buy another one of these for sure at that price. Um, yeah, I mean, this is a super great one. It looks.
Yeah,
I know I
yeah.
tried to get it with the head detached, but it was too blurry. Not that this isn't blurry already, but
Tilt our heads to the
um,
side and look at it. HD.
yeah,
Oh man, we are working on 720p right now. We are
exactly.
going all out.
We don't have the high end StreamYard. So we're
No, not in the budget. Not in the budget. But
yeah,
this one's very
it's
cool. This
yeah
one, it is funny that you say that because GameStop, I think, is where I originally got mine from, if I can remember correctly. And it was, I bought it whenever it came out relatively new. And the longer, I mean, granted, I'm in Kentucky, there's not a whole lot of statue collectors in my area at the time that was out looking GameStop buying them up. And this
yeah.
one kind of stayed in the box for a while, and you watched it go from full price to, 25% off to 50% off. And I almost bought more, and I thought I don't really need to buy more than one. But it took a while because I don't think people were used to seeing statues this size. I mean, it was these were this tall,
Yeah.
and it was something different. And Skottie's popularity was high already. There's a lot of fans, but it's not what it was today. So people just weren't as familiar with it and thought it was cute, but thought I'm not paying fifty
I
dollars
think
for it at
I
the
think
time.
that's the biggest thing, the price tag and like you said, for how small it is. And again, like, it's interesting, going with, the ceramic or whatever it is, the material that they utilize. It's a heavy duty, and it's fragile too. As it can break.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
but
mean,
I,
it's
th- I think once you
combined
buy it,
couple of things.
with it being in a box that you cannot see the contents on the inside of it, also I think hurt it somewhat because
True.
once you take it out of the box and see the paint job that the Gentle Giant did on it, and so see the detail not just in the front but in the back, how they replicated it perfectly. Uh, I think
That's
that's what helped
yeah.
the whole set build momentum.
No, for sure. And that's why I included, I wanted to include that front and back shot for each of these statues because again, that's as somebody who translates concepts into 3D, art, I know all too well, that trouble of like, okay, well, I don't have anything for this. What does this look like? What do I put here? So I'd be curious, I would assume not, but I'd be interested if they had any notes from Skottie, or if he maybe did like extra little sketches like, hey, just sketch to this, or if they maybe rummage through the art and we're able to look at the interior art or something like that.
Well,
But they
one
nailed it. I
one
mean,
of the
even from the get go, they nailed it. His style and just capturing, that comic to statue.
one thing I never realized until I think Skottie was talking about this on some show, but whenever he was talking about developing Boy at the End, that he had a sculptor actually sculpt a figure of Boy at the End and had like images from every angle. Because you're thinking, all these 2D images that you see drawn, and you want it to be the same proportions no matter how you turn it. And to me, whatever Gentle Giant did to produce these was it's kind of similar to that because no matter how you turn it, it's like, all right, well, this is a Skottie statue, even though you can't see the back of it in the images that we've got posted here. Uh, that by turning it around, you'd be like, all right, this is exactly how Skottie would draw it. You, I can't say that for a fact, but I can say that with pretty
No, I mean
high
it's. I
certainty.
mean it's again. They've. There's only a few statues, and one of them we'll kind of take a look at. Then I'm a little more iffy on, but for the most part,
Yeah,
I mean these knock him out of the park. I mean that's again such a one. He has such a distinct style, and two, like we just said, to translate the whole thing, not just the front, but it's the whole thing, whole character, turned around, and like you said, even if, like from the back, the little ears, just the way that it's drawn, like it's like, hey, is that Skottie? Then you turn around, and like, oh yeah, that's a Skottie, statue
most
for
definitely.
sure. Um, And the other thing I'd be interested too, I don't know how Gentle Giant worked. I know that they weren't incredibly big, but I'd be curious, if it was the same artist who worked on it the entire series, sculptor, if they had a few different people. I think of like oh my goodness, now I'm blanking. Weta Workshop did their mini
Oh,
epic figures. And they pretty much had the same sculptor, on all of those heavily stylized characters and stuff. So um the alien from Mac.
yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. If I close my eyes, squint my eyes, I can very much
yeah,
see
yeah.
that.
Oh goodness.
Now we need a Mac and
What
me
a,
Scotty drawing is what we're
yeah,
saying. A
that's
commission.
right. And trust us, that is the figure on this cover here. Uh, to let everybody know, most of the times me and Tyler wing it on these things. There was some actual research put into this one where we pulled copies of comics. Tyler pulled images of the figure or statues. I had to go through and dig through old previews catalogs to figure out what the release date was on these. And
Mm.
it was good times, good times. But we did it for you all because we care about you all so much.
Well,
Uh,
honestly, it's super fun too. I mean, to be able to, look at these statues and then see the
oh,
comic it
absolutely.
comes from, and like you said, most of them are like 1-to-1, like this rocket here. Like you said, there's a few where they're like a little off, or maybe they had to
Just
improvise a little
slightly.
bit. Yeah, but yeah, this is a great one. I wish I had this one in my collection. I don't, unfortunately.
I have the my tail's chipped off on this one, but I have this
Mm.
one. My wife, I got a cough. I'm sorry. My wife ordered this from Big Bad Toy Store, and it came with the tip chipped off the back, and it stayed in stock on there for a while. And I started to order a replacement, but I didn't want to replace the one my wife got me, so
Mm.
I kept it. This is as I was looking through these slides and seeing the images that we put on there of the comics. This is the one that made me think. I was like, I want to, get all the comics that are these statues are based upon, and just have a display in my detolf of the comic and then the statue in front of it, and do that for,
Yeah.
label it up because I think that would be a really cool display to see how close these are to actually, like you had mentioned, not maybe not one of one, but they're pretty darn close to getting
Oh
close
no,
to
yeah. I mean, they're so close, and as we've seen on the Facebook group, there's a few people who have theirs set up that way, which is really cool.
yeah,
I think maybe inspired by the Funko Pops that have started, the VHS covers and stuff where
yes,
they have the cover, they have the pop in front of it, and it is just seeing that gets that nostalgia kicker, that excuse me, the
yeah. We're both at
connection.
collapse, but
I know, yeah, it's just it's
it's the
bubbling in
weather.
my
It's the
throat.
weather. Me too. It makes me want to
Um,
cough more.
I'm surprised though that you didn't, or I would assume people would have trouble with the wire that's hanging down from the gun, as well breaking off. I'm surprised that wouldn't be one of the things to do it.
It
So
maybe I don't see this one posted that much, but
yeah.
gosh, now that you say it, it makes me want to go look to make sure mine's not broken. But yeah, that looks like that could be a potential break point. But it also may be a different material. It may not be resin, polyresin. It may actually be something elastic where it can move, not elastic, but something posable where you can move
Well,
around some.
in a lot of these statues, I would say most of them have really great styrofoam packaging, that fits the characters well. And then some of them, like my Gert that we'll get to, had extra foam in it to help certain, pressure points or areas that were hanging or, not as protected by the big styrofoam itself. But yeah, I don't know. I would assume looking at photos that one is a, the same hard, resin or ceramic material as the rest of it.
Well, me.
I would say we can blow you up there.
Okay. You see this? So the tail, I'm going to breaking it here on live. Uh, you can't see from that angle. There's no way I can turn it without breaking this silly thing. All right. Yeah, the tail's chipped right there. You see the tip of it there, the white.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, this is sculpted. It's not
Yeah.
that part there. So you're right. Yeah, that would be a really, really easy part to break.
And it could be they have like a tiny little metal, oops,
That's all right.
wire maybe running through it to help kind of bolster it to give it a little bit more of
I think
a
you may be right.
support or sturdy, there. But I mean, it's a great, again, like we talked about. This is one that's pretty much just 1-to-1 the comic cover. Like there,
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, and again, such an interesting and smart idea to switch Groot's head to
for the
the
brick. That's what I
brick
was going to
kind of
mention.
wall
It's
thing. Like, I kind of would have liked to have seen the Groot, just go a little bit at the top of his head would have been funny. But I get, to keep down cost and maybe keep down the complexity and stuff.
And then this was the first San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that they did for a line of Scotties. So there's only 1,000 of them produced,
Yeah.
and judging by the number that Big Bad Toy Store got after the con, I mean 1,000 is pretty high for exclusive, as we'll see later on in other shows. The other exclusives that have been released have been 250, 500. So I mean they went in pretty big with this one, and it's such a cool one. But they never revisited any of the other this style of Scotty statues. It's just like they hop back onto the baby variants, and that's kind of what they've rode for the duration of the series.
Yeah, it makes sense, because again, the baby covers at this point we're only continuing to, progress faster and faster with how many covers and stuff that he did, and it made sense from a lineup like, oh, we've got all these baby covers now, we can keep a consistency to them, have that collector's appeal to it. I do miss. I wish we would have gotten more like this again. These kind of larger statues. As we'll see a few more. I like again just the little environment elements that they pulled into it. And again, this was a big comic for Skottie, Rocket Raccoon, right around the release of Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff, which I'm sure would have been at Comic-Con that year. Hall H panel or something or whatnot. But yeah, this is a really cool. Also reminds me of Sly Cooper being a game person. I love the Sly Cooper game series. So he's a raccoon as well, a thief who steals stuff. So
this is typically the part of the show where Britton hops on and says something to back up what you're saying about a video game.
I know he would. He actually
messaged
before. Yeah, he messaged beforehand, said he didn't think he was going to be able to make it tonight, but to wish us luck. I forgot to mention that, so I was like, I appreciate that. He was a little bit annoyed though. We were talking about Gentle Giant statues. He was like, that's the one thing I know Skottie wise is Gentle Giant statues. So.
Well, this will probably be a series of 4 or 5 shows based upon statues alone. So he'll jump in.
I gave him that heads up. I was like, oh, there's plenty more. Don't you worry. So
yeah, we didn't want this to be a 5-hour show tonight, so we had to, that was our. All right, so the next one that came up is Tyler's least favorite character, Iron Man. This is one that me and Tyler had talked about. It was like, what comic does this come from? I knew I'd seen it. I could not. It took me a few minutes to find where this one came from, because it's kind of deceptive. Most of these you're looking at and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be from Iron Man 1. This is going to be from Rocket Raccoon 1. It's like, no, they also pulled them from group settings, and we'll see that for a few more later on in the series. But this was number 2, and you couldn't have picked a better one to go with Captain America than Iron Man, especially with this color pattern.
No, it threw me off. Yeah, like I said, I was just so under the impression. I was like, yeah, they were all just pulled, from an individual issue. And yeah, I just didn't cross my like, oh, I need to look up, other, side ones, Infinity, and that's kind of stuff. Especially because this one, is I love the Infinity covers, and that one's probably my favorite next to the Thanos, where everyone's piled around him. I think that's 6, or maybe 5. But yeah, I love the statue. They came up with such cool and interesting ways to connect the characters. Still have that effect of him flying, but connecting it to the base. And this one surprisingly is a solid one. Like, I've never really worried about. Mine doesn't wobble or anything. Like there's
no tipping or anything.
Yeah, like it's well balanced. I did also include the mini heroes here just for fun. So this is kind of what I hinted at earlier. If maybe they had gone this route, like they tried to do of more affordable, cheap plastic, maybe people would have been more all over that. I'm surprised, they didn't start that before diving into the polyresin stuff. But it makes sense. That's what they were using for all their other stuff. So why not? They have that pipeline set up. But again, I like the differentiation of the little city that Iron Man is blasting off of there in that one. So, and again, it didn't unfortunately perform well because it only got the 4 or 5, and then that was it. So,
and we'll bring these back because I think they got released. They're on my list. They got released in 2019, I believe. So we'll list, and they dropped them all at the same time instead of slowly rolling them out. So. I know. And to be fair, Tyler got about half of these. Uh, I went to marvelnews.com, I think, and found some more. And then they referenced for the Punisher one, which we'll get to in a minute, they referenced the wrong book for Punisher. So some of them had to do some good old fashioned just digging through
Well,
picture images of Skottie trying to
I was gonna
find where he
say
lived.
it's like I told you, I should have just reversed image searched it. I should have just like thrown it up, and
Yeah.
it
Oh my
hopefully maybe would
gosh.
have pulled up the comic. I was like, oh, I can't find it, and I just left it there.
Yeah.
So
Tyler messaged me and said, "Did you do like an image reverse search?" And I just laughed. He couldn't hear me laugh, but I just laughed. I was like, "I don't know how to do that, Tyler." He's like, "No, I spent a
just
lunch
drag and
break.
drop. That's make it
Yeah,
simple.
I just did a lunch break, like scrolling through Skottie Young Iron Man, and then just scrolling through all of them." So, I mean, it most certainly is. There's no wind. Yeah, there's no city below him in the image, but
Exactly.
well,
My Instagram post.
that's all. That's what matters. And this one was a really bold one to come out with for statue number 3, just
Yeah.
because the darn balloon face will not stay facing forward on mine. I'm gonna have to get some
Yeah,
gummy or
no,
some Play-Doh or
it's
something to
I'm
get it.
looking up at mine right now, and I yeah, I realized it's spun around,
Mine is
because
too. Mine is too.
it's heavy. It's surprising that they went fully polyresin for the balloon as well, and it's detachable to, help with breakage, because surely if this was shipped packaged, this would have broken
Yeah,
off
yeah.
100%.
The hand, yeah. There's so, the break point at the hand and at the
Yeah.
end of the balloon. Yeah, they would have both had
But,
lots of problems.
it's just crazy, and it's honestly, I'm still surprised that, like, it hasn't broken, because like, it's gotta just be warping that metal rod, like, just slowly over time, it's just gonna droop and droop, and,
Yeah, yeah. You're probably right about that too.
yeah.
Now, the Mini Heroes one, I would like to get that one just to see. I'm sure it's all vinyl, even the balloon, so
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
not as. That's what. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, all plastic. Gonna get out of here, Seth.
No,
That's a ban. That's a timeout.
now if Sideshow would have did this, they would have had the whole throne and everything on that, which
Yeah,
would have
it would
been
have
massive.
gone big, yeah.
But it also would have cost several $100s to get that. So
Yeah.
uh, be very happy that we got as great a design as they gave us for the little Thanos there.
No, again, and it's almost, because that's, what's really sells his covers are the characters, the baby versions of these characters. And
Right.
and I'm surprised though with the mini heroes they didn't have the chair there. Like, why do the moon instead of, like the chair that was already there on the cover? But
Right.
I'm belly laughing.
I know. I just you gotta love him. Gotta love him. Man,
Oh,
heroes
but
can't get here fast
yeah.
enough.
Oh goodness. Yeah, it's a great one. The only thing is I'll note that the balloon isn't quite as high as the cover, but again,
Right?
they wouldn't
Yeah.
they wouldn't have been able to do
It
that.
does. Yes. That's you could probably. I mean, it's just a wire. You could probably
Mm,
fabricate something to work for that.
true, yeah.
No,
But
we
we're
were
talking
talking. We were
statues.
talking pizza toppings, but nobody would answer my question. Dadgone it! So we
Yeah.
switched. We switched over to statues. So uh, I digress. So another one that we had so they did take they really leaned into this first line to get these Marvel minis that they produced, but this one's real cool. This one I'm surprised I haven't heard more people complain about breakage on it, just from all the little plunger sticks there. But
Yeah, no, it's another one. Unfortunately, I don't have in the collection. I have the mini hero. I don't have the Gentle Giant. It's one I'd love to add, but yeah, no, it's surprising. The tip on the hat, the little his mask, and
mhm,
then like you said, the plungers for sure. Um, again, it's as fragile as they seem. Obviously, if you drop it, they will break. As we saw previously with
yeah,
the Captain America, but
rest in
again,
peace.
they're pretty solid, and again, I'm sure it's due to the material, the polyresin stuff that they use to make these, and I'd be really curious the process of how you go about, painting it, and like if it's printed, or I'm sure it's molded, like they make a mold and then inject it and then, do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, whatever they do, there's only a few that I'm wary of, like Silver Surfer and stuff that I've got a little bit of wobble in, but
Yeah.
for the most part,
Well,
all the ones
they
that I have are all solid. So
Well, they're small enough though still that the styrofoam they use keeps it from moving during shipping. I mean,
Yeah.
had this been, 5 times the size of that it was, and you put it into a larger styrofoam, any shift at all would have added pressure to those sticks and it would have just snapped off.
Yeah,
You didn't
if
have
they
it.
had gone the route, like the mini heroes of like using plastic instead of styrofoam, to hold like
Yeah,
there would have been way more breakage, and like you said, that's definitely plays a role in keeping these statues safe. So that's a great one. And we have that unoriginal print, so that would be a cool one because you could have the comic unoriginal print
that's right. That's right.
statue and the mini hero if you wanted, and the original art if you have that. Whoever's lucky enough to have that. So
Yep. Somebody out there does. This was a tough booger. This was
look at it.
officially tough
Yeah.
booger. Trying to find this one. This was by luck. I actually, because I knew the statue came out in 2017, so I went to a website that was highlighting
Hmm.
Skottie baby covers around that time period,
That's smart. Yeah.
and I just scrolled down until I saw, because the Marvel news that I'd used to find a few of the other ones said that this was a. They said this is taken from Punisher One, and there's two Punisher ones that predates this statue, and it was
Yeah.
neither one. And like one had the
Yeah.
pouch, one had the hat, but the something about the skull on his chest, the little the different eye size. I thought that's got to be from a comic. That's got to be
Yeah.
from something. And lo and behold, it's flipped, but and the red
Yeah.
became white, but it
I
says
that's what I was gonna say. It's interesting, yeah, that it's flipped his gun pose. And like you said, yeah, the white instead of the red, which that makes sense, in this context of just being, base
just been a
Punisher.
Punisher, right?
Rather than
But
the Thunderbolts cover.
the coat too, the jacket, something about the coat. All the other Punishers did not have that, and I thought they would. That
Yeah.
just we had talked about this and was like, did they take some type of artistic liberty and design, like a conglomerate
Yeah.
of all the different Punishers? But it just looked too spot on to not be out there somewhere. And
Well, and
Thunderbolts
like
was
you said,
the
up to that point, they've chosen a cover every single time, so why would they diverge, from that for one, statue,
right, right.
unless really needed be. But um and again, call it on the Thunderbolts. Again, so interesting because it's like one of like less than 5 comics where his signature is like in red, like or like
Yeah,
is colored differently or something special done to it. I just really like that for some reason. Just that little tiny red box in the corner. Um,
that is a nice touch.
this is a great one. I love the skull design on that one. I mean, again, talk about nailing it. It's not the exact pose, but and even stuff like the spot gloss on the shoes, like his shoes being shinier than the rest
Well,
of them.
the hair. Look at the hair and look at the
Yeah.
comic. Just the
Yeah,
shading
yeah,
on the hair
the
is perfect.
highlights, the way
Yeah,
the eyes. Yeah, it's yeah, again, it's one I don't own, one I love to just for like the execution
yeah, it's so
of
well
it.
done.
It's so well done. The only thing I'd love is like some bullet casings around the base or something like that, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's always something just a little more, and that would have made it look. But
yeah.
it's still pretty good considering what we
And
got.
we haven't really been talking about the edition size, but it one of the things I noticed, that kind of slight
Oh, let's go back.
fluctuation between like 3,000 and
Yeah,
4,000. Most of them have been 3,000. Obviously, the exclusive one, was 1,000, but they were all mainly 3,000. And then it hit Punisher, and it was like, all right, 4,000, and then it'll
yeah.
change again, coming up.
Well, I'm
Is
sure they were trying to find that sweet spot. They're trying to find that
yeah,
perfect edition size. So
and
because
I'm sure
you'll
it
see it.
depends on the character and stuff too. How maybe popular at the time they are or something like that. So
This would have been a great time for charts with Dustin. But if you see the numbers kind of flux up, and then we see it drop off, and then we see it come back up and level out as we go on. That's a little
yeah.
foreshadowing, but
That one
it'll
and
happen.
the dates too, because it's interesting their release cadence for these. There it's like you said, it was around like 2 or 3 at a time, like kind of within like a month or so of each other that they would drop these kind of consistently in a way. So
And this is plus or minus 6 months. This was what on previews. So this is the general vicinity of when they came out. It may not be exact, but it's close enough. It's pretty close.
exactly. You don't come to us for exact, you come to us
Yeah,
for
that's right.
relatively close.
Yeah, horseshoes and hand grenades. That's our close calls that we like. So Spider
Exactly.
Gwen. Spider Gwen
Yeah.
was what the little yo-yo hanging off. Uh, that's such a great cover that Skottie had. Would have loved to seen more of the city facilitated into the statue like we would see probably now. If this was
Yeah.
made now, you'd probably get more close to what the Marvel Mini had there. It's having at least the chimney on there. But
Yeah, just again that little addition. Though again, it's sad they didn't go with the pink, to match the cover. They just went with the basic red
yeah,
bricks there. But again,
yeah,
and one this one is different. This one is smart. I don't have this one, but I'm just looking at it that they did go with the different material for the string. It isn't the polyresin. It is like an actual string, isn't it? I'm pretty sure for the or
yes,
is
it
it
is. No, it's
hard? Okay.
actually no, it's true. I say that with 95% confidence.
I know it
I,
is for the mini hero there, and that's one that I have on display. Um, and actually, no, the mini hero actually is different from the image there. The mini hero is a solid like pink plastic instead of an actual string like they did there in the image.
no,
So
really,
yeah, so interesting that they changed that one from the
good call.
image to the production. So
Very good call. Yes, it is a string. So Ryan has confirmed it without me having to get
cool.
up. So,
And
but yeah,
and I'm glad they did again. Stuff like that, it makes so much more sense. You're gonna have far less issues than if you were to make that metal like the Thanos balloon and get
yeah.
bent and stuff. But again, one I don't have. I need to add this one to the collection. It'd go great with the first appearance Gwen that I have. So
Man, the pink chimney would have set it off. That would have been. That
I
would have been
know,
great.
yeah. I'm like looking. I don't know. Again, it's funny, like we said, pulling these images and comparing, directly comparing, to the
Yeah.
cover. And funny enough, and I'm surprised they didn't do that more. Again, it's always interesting, like we talked about whether or not Skottie gets mentioned or name dropped or any of that kind of stuff. And he was mostly for these statues, they would mention his name, but interesting to me they wouldn't utilize the cover, more to like
Excuse
help,
me.
sell like, hey, this is the cover you love. Like, well, now get the statue, with it. So,
Yeah, I wondered that too because looking at the boxes, I wondered why they didn't do that. If it was a licensing
oh, that would have
issue
been
or
really
what,
cool. Yeah. To
to
have
put
like,
them on that. So
especially if they were like perfectly, I know they changed the size depending on the statue and all that kind of stuff, but to have a
yeah,
consistent size, like a comic cover would have been such a cool way to collect just the boxes as well. So
I
that's
agree.
a
I
that's a
agree.
missed opportunity, Dustin. You need to copyright that right now and pitch it to Scotty. So
Too late. It's already. We are time. It is 7:42 p.m. Central Time. So we got. We get an idea for a company that no longer exists. That's not our. That's our.
yeah, but
That's
Scotty still exists. Maybe
yeah.
Scotty, makes some statues of his own now that he, it's like, hey, what if I want to do my own? So
Yeah, I guarantee anything Scotty could come up with would be 10 times better than anything I spit out of here. So I
no,
would give
you
no suggestions. No.
it's at work when we give our presentations. We like to say again, no downplaying your contributions and everything. You can't downplay your contributions, Dustin. You contribute too much. So
No. As I said before, Tyler, useful idiot here. So that's what I'm all for. So, um,
my
speaking of
goodness.
speaking of useful idiots, Vision is this one that that's not the segue I hoped it would be, but yeah, edition size 4,000 popped back
Yeah.
up, and this one had the same release date as Spider Gwen.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was an accident, if that was just the way previews pulled it, but it would have been around the same timeline. This is the little clear part that's given that hovering appearance for Vision was
Yeah.
well done. I know if you're a higher end statue collector, it would be like connecting points. You wouldn't like it, but for what else are you going to do to give that effect?
You
So
could maybe balance them on like his tippy toe, but to give, like you said, the effect, you want to get that clear part. And this one was an interesting one to me because I looked a few times to make sure I had the correct division cover. Because I knew this cover, but I couldn't remember if there was a color version of it that they utilized for the color. Not that you really need it. I mean, it's just Vision's colors. But interesting to me that this is the cover, that the pose is at
yeah, I don't
least
get
based off of. So
yeah, I don't Zach like Zach says this one's always been really budget friendly, and
yeah.
I'm not sure why either because it's the colors. I love the red and green. Maybe it's just the Christmas fun loving side of me that loves that, but yeah, I like the design of this. And Becker, you need to pick up some more. These are awesome. These
Well, and
are
it
these
and it
are
goes
really cool.
great. We won't see it in this one, but I've got mine right next to my Scarlet Witch, and because I was like, oh, that's cute. Put the two of them
Yeah,
together. Yeah, budget friendly is a much better way to describe it.
that's what I like to say it.
Exactly. Yeah, budget friendly. No, it's a good one, and yeah, I mean the colors are great, like you said, the Halloween, and obviously we've had WandaVision, and more people are into Division now maybe than when it released. So Yeah, Speedball. There we go.
Gonna be, you're going to be waiting a while. So,
Could be waiting quite. Yeah.
but for Becker's sake, I hope someone does make a speedball one of these just
Yeah.
for him, because if there's anybody that deserves a speedball, it's Becker. He's a
Well,
I don't know.
now with 3D printing, like you just got to commission
Yes.
somebody, get a good commission, a 3D print, a paint job, and
Hmm. And
bada
I
bing,
don't
bada
say this.
boom.
I don't say this as a joke, but Becker is the biggest speedball fan I know. I don't know a whole lot of speedball fans, but I know that Becker is one of them, and he's a. So I do hope he gets something like that. Because
Yeah, I only know one, and it's Becker, and I only recently
so,
found that out.
yeah. Uh-oh. Sounds like Ryan is volunteering.
Uh-oh.
Did he call you Ryan again? Is that what we're?
Oh, Ryan, I see. Yeah, no, Ryan, he's on vacation somewhere. We don't really know where he's at currently, so
I
and
got you.
he's
I got
fortunately
you.
off the grid.
Yeah, yeah. We're that was one of those another restraining orders that we had to put into
Yeah, if I
effect.
have a restraining order, then Ryan definitely has a restraining order. So
You know, it's odd, Tyler, is the word restraining orders get said way too much on this show. Like I think at least once an episode
we're
you
gonna
get there.
we're gonna
So
get called out for it or something.
that's right. I love small and dedicated fans. I mean, that's a good thing to be, because you can't say you're a fair weather fan or you like to jump on the bandwagon. You know you're a real fan when you're a fan of a property or a character like Speedball. So
Exactly.
I,
I
I
liked
salute
Iron
you.
Man before he was a top tier hero. Okay, I liked him when he was a D hero. Okay, so
I liked him when Robert Downey Jr. played him. That's when I
yeah,
liked him.
yeah, that's
So
when you liked
that's
him.
I'm old school. All right. Okay. All
Oh
right. Now
goodness.
moving. All right. This is the first time that we had two that were incorporated into one statue, and this came from the Guardians team up.
Yep.
Again with a 4,000 edition size. This is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
We talked about later on. We'll see some that haven't been released yet that are awesome, but I just love this one. I love the expression on Rocket's face. I love the expression on Groot's face. They pulled this one off really nice, and another one that I don't see a lot of breakage on, but it would look like Rocket. I can't
Yeah,
remember if they did
Rocket's
the test
tail, or
one.
yeah, just Rocket himself. You would think would maybe be more liably to break.
Cool.
No, this one's a fantastic one. Yeah, I love this one. Just I mean, again, there's such a hilarious team up, these two. It's also one of the few that I also own the plush version of, along with
Oh,
these
nice.
statues, so I can blow myself up here.
Please do.
Yeah, so I only have two Skottie plushes, this one and Spider-Man. But yeah, this one, they made these just as well, in my opinion, as the statues. And yeah,
Yeah,
super cute.
I
It
love
just sits
those.
on my comic shelf over there. Yeah.
Very cool. It would be cool one day to see a deluxe version of this one where the whole ride is included with all the characters.
I thought about that too, because I was thinking of ones like, I love the Chewbacca one with Han and Chewie on
Yep.
the Millennium Falcon ride. Um, like you said, they would get more complex and more costly, but I'd be fine with that. Like once every year or so, like they come out with like a big one, and it's like, okay, that's the big one to get, kind of a deal. I did also like, and we'll discuss it when it comes up, but when I went to Comic-Con 2017 and
Sure.
I got this one at Comic-Con. They had, a massive Venom one on display, at the Gentle Giant booth. And I'm like, man, why don't you sell those? Those would be
That
amazing.
would be
So
cool. You see Ryan's comment here. I'm starting to think Ryan's not married. That's like the spoiler alert. He's buying
yeah,
all this stuff for
exactly. Yeah.
himself. Yeah. Like all this stuff in my room I bought for my wife as well.
This for my
Frequently.
wife.
Yeah,
Cuts to
so
wife. There's nobody, just an empty chair. Yeah.
no. Ryan, that's really awesome of you, man. I was just joking. Yeah, that is a really cool
No,
thing to do, especially
I
for wife
only
like
get
this.
these for myself. So
Yeah. Tyler's not gonna sugarcoat it. He's buying
no.
them for
I
himself.
will say though, she was with me when I got this statue, and she helped me get signatures from Skottie, because they were limited, I think, like maybe 4 at most, at Comic Con. So I had brought my I Hate Fairyland books. Like I had enough for 2 people. So I was like, thankful. I was like, hey, can you please wait in line and help me get this stuff signed? And she did. So
That's
she
great.
was
Love to hear
incredibly nice
stories
for
like
doing
that.
that. So
That's great. Um, yeah, it's to have supportive spouses makes the hobby a lot more fun. Oh, really? And it pulled you in. That's cool too. To
I could see that.
realize
Yeah, like the
they
appeal
were
of
your
the
gateway.
cartoony style.
Yeah, that's a good gateway because then once you get into the cartoony style, you realize it's like an onion. There's so many more layers of Skottie and his writing and his art to get into. So, uh,
100%. Yeah.
and you can't have Rocket and Groot without Star Lord. Another one that came out around that same time, and loved how this one is perfect. Look at the hair, look at
Yeah.
every aspect of it, pulled straight from the cover.
Yeah.
So
And again,
cool.
another interesting one because they went back down to 3,000 for this one.
Again,
Um, but yeah, no, it's they did like you said, just the paint job and everything with it
yep.
is fantastic. Would have been
I had to
cool to get
double
some
check.
effects coming off the gun. Yeah, go back. Yeah,
No, it's 4,000 and 3,000. So it's odd that they did, but it shows you the
yeah,
popularity of Groot and Rocket versus Star Lord, who even though he's played by Chris Pratt, it's hard to beat. It's almost like the Baby Yoda effect. It's hard to beat Rocket and Groot. So yeah,
yeah,
the effects coming off the gun would have been better, and with them being made today, the style that they were being used, it may have had a little extra there, kind of like Spider-Man that we'll see shooting the webbing out.
yeah.
Uh, but
But I mean, this one is great. I mean, I love the pose on this one. The cape, the billowing his cloak billowing in the wind, and like you said, the
mhm.
hair and everything. This one is. I love the dynamic poses for ones like this. So, yeah, this is a super solid one. And his mask, I've always loved
Cool.
his mask too. He's just got such a cool mask. The idea of like just covers
Yeah.
your face and lets your hair flow. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, for though, if only I had hair to flow like that. So that's a dig, Tyler with a dig.
Oh my goodness.
So speaking of Spider-Man and webbing shooting out the hand, this was the 2017 San Diego Comic Con exclusive, along with the other one we're about to look at. But this was another one that it took a little bit of detective work to figure out where it came from. You just
Yeah,
find the Skottie cover that has 100 different Spider-Man on it,
I
and
know. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
where's Waldo?
Pulling this one, I was like, because I've never known where this one came from. I just never looked. I've never been bothered to look it up. And yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that they out of all the spider poses and drawings and things we've gotten, this is the one that they went with. But I guess it's the most, and like you said, the webbing we've got coming out there. So
But in the eyes, the shape of the eyes, the where the position of the backhand going, the right hand going, the knees bending the way they did, perfect execution of those. Perfect.
this is one where I could
Hey
have.
Keith.
Hello, Keith. Oh no, your Spidey. Yeah, see that one. I could see this one losing a finger, the webbing.
Oh yeah, sorry about that, dude.
Yeah, it would be super, tiny. Um,
And trying
this
to
is one
glue
I could
these
have.
back is hard. Is hard as heck
Yeah.
trying to get them glued back
Well,
on.
especially
So
that you got to have like tweezers and a magnifying glass and patience and
and patience, and we don't
yeah,
have that.
and the
So
ability to find the tiny finger because I'm sure like once you're like, okay, where to go? Like where am I looking for this tiny little bead of red?
yes.
Um, but no, yeah, I could have picked this one up. I was at Comic Con 2017,
Oh
and
really? Yeah,
I
but you got
didn't.
the next one. You got the next
Yeah,
one,
I got
didn't
the
you?
next one, but I also got the Groot with it. So those are the two that I chose.
I
I
got you.
didn't vibe as much with the Spider-Man, unfortunately. I think it's just the round head throws me off. Which
That's true.
it is in the comic, but I think it's because he's more hunched down and like turning, whereas this one's just like he's looking straight and it's just got this round head staring at you. But again, it's still a solid statue. Again, I still love all of them. It's just it wasn't as high up, and again, as we know with Comic Con, you can't buy everything.
No,
So I had to pick and choose my battles, and Groot and Rocket ran one out over that. So
I don't blame you. And speaking for someone that has a big round head, I love this one. So we'll
I was like, I could see the smirk. I knew you had like a comment
I
to
had
make.
I had
I
one.
didn't
I had
know what
one. I
it
did look
was,
at.
but
I was like, first you comment about people with hair running in the wind, and then you talk about big heads. So you're 2 for 2, Tyler.
hey,
Good one.
I've got a big head, again, as we know, if you can fit these hats, I guess supposedly your
That's
noggins
right.
is really big. So
This is going to be like an episode of Scooby Doo, and at the end of the episode, he's going to pull his mask off, and it's going to be Ryan sitting there. So I just have a feeling that's going to happen.
you can't, yeah, buy everything with that attitude. Man,
That's right.
San Diego Comic Con is so overwhelming for anyone who's been.
Yeah, I have
I still
not.
specifically remember my first time going in 2010 as a graduation gift for my dad, and not even 5 minutes, I bought my first item, which was the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Iron Man Mighty Mug figure with the
Oh, really?
moving faceplate. That was I
That's
was like,
awesome.
I have to have that. I love Mighty Mugs. I didn't know
Mighty
about this.
Mugs
I
were
was like,
awesome.
boom. I was like, I'm gonna buy that, and I did, and also I was a doofus, and I ripped it open on the top whereas the
Yeah.
bottom would have been and so like I tried gluing it because I still have the box and it's
Oh man.
man, it's a mess.
Do you
But
still own it? Do you still own that Mighty
I
Mug?
do, yes. I still have a few of my Mighty Mugs. That one I definitely wasn't gonna give away. I love that one. I actually have it displayed on my Iron Man shelf,
Let's take a
along
look
with
at it. We got time. What
the
else we got
regular.
to do?
Let me see if I can grab it.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump to the next slide while you're doing that, just so we can have it ready to. Everybody can feast their eyes upon this beautiful statue, and then we're gonna blow you up and take a look at this Mighty Mug.
Oh, did I lie?
Oh, folks,
Dustin, I think I might have
this is
lied.
oh, this is
Um,
awkward. This is awkward.
I don't have the San Diego Comic Con, but I do have my regular one, my regular
Okay,
Mighty Mug here. So
well, we'll blow
um
you up anyway. So picture
yeah,
this, except
yeah.
with the head coming up.
Yeah, the helmet, yeah, and it would reveal Tony's face. And they didn't do like most of them were like this, it's just painted on, didn't do much more than that. My other favorite one was Spider-Man, where he had a cloth removable mask, which I thought was awesome. Um
I
yeah,
forgot about that one. I remember that one
yeah.
now.
I
Oh
think that was
wow.
also a Comic Con exclusive one, if I'm not mistaken. Um and it made me so mad when Funko popped up and just destroyed Mighty Mugs. They just stopped making Mighty Mugs after Funko came out. And I was
Yeah.
like, I hate Funko. You killed Mighty Mugs. These are my favorites.
Well. What? Oh. Yeah. We got.
How could you do that? You do that every.
No, I went to make you little again, and it just you
Oh,
disappeared on me.
I thought you were
Uh,
like,
no, no, no,
no, we
no,
can't have
no.
any Funko talk on here.
Yeah, yeah. YouTube cut us out from that. No, no. You were bringing up good points because you're right. Because the licensing from Mighty Mugs, you had Marvel, you had Star Wars, and you had Indiana Jones and Transformers and GI
Yeah,
Joe. I think was the five that I remember seeing. And then Funko Amateur Hour here, yeah, like we
yeah.
expected anything other than that. Come on, guys. You know what you signed up for when you tuned
You
into
know
this
what you're
show.
getting. Yeah.
But just those five licenses versus Funkos, perfect timing. Like you couldn't have picked a better time to. We're cutting each other off. We're closing
Yeah.
each other out. We're talking about Mighty Mugs and a Skottie statue show. So this is perfect.
Hey, I mean, Mighty Mugs, you know what could have been? Maybe we could get some Scotty variants there.
I would take it in a heartbeat. But yeah, I love Mighty Mugs. The lack of licenses killed them because Funko came out
Yeah.
and released everything. So,
Yeah. But
but
no,
this
yeah.
statue,
So
you got this
yeah.
statue, didn't you?
So this, yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful that I was there for this statue. It was the first time I met Scotty. They had this statue. They also had a print there, which is a print of his first cover, which I have hanging up.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Is this where you had
and
your first picture with Scotty? Where
yeah,
you're both?
yeah, that was the
Cool.
first picture, which is my favorite because we did like the normal one that I saw people doing, and then I went like I made a face, and he was like, oh yeah, no, let's do the face, and like we made like
Yeah,
the silly, which I love because I mean I know that he loves doing that. Like it's like, oh yeah, you can smile, but like I'd rather make a silly face.
most
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, no, because again, this one is as we know is hard to come by, and like we talked about too, it's interesting because it's different. It's modified from the first cover. It's there in spirit, but the axe isn't over her shoulder. There's
Well,
not,
I
the
I
bite
think it's the
taken out of
width.
the mushroom.
Looking at it here in person, I mean in person, looking at it on the screen now, I think it's the width of the axe. Do you think that's what it was? That the box that they had it in, they had to contain it to a certain.
I would imagine
The
so. Yeah,
footprint with
maybe they thought it'd be easier to like. Maybe they thought, oh, the axe would maybe break if it was over the shoulder,
yeah, to make the box
or
wider, then you have to make the styrofoam wider and just shipping. So I don't know. There's not a good reason. I mean, we don't know why they didn't go with the one of one of the cover, but that's the only thing I could really think of because this one to me was like a perfect one that you could replicate it and make it look identical.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the like you said, and it's a lot of things. It's not just it's her leg
Or
isn't
her
bent, her
expression.
face is different. The mushroom, like I said, the tongue is on the opposite side, and um,
That's true. And the bumps, the mushrooms not raised. All
yeah, and
that
it's
good stuff.
eyeball. I mean, again, it's just small stuff, and then the only reason it stands out is we've had the previous ones that are pretty much one to one, with the cover, and it could be
Yeah.
again this is Skottie's own IP, his first
That's true.
IP, own original IP, and so maybe he had some input on what he wanted for the statue and to have it different, and again I love it. I would have a one-to-one be cool for sure, but I also love that it is different, and it's kind of its own unique thing. um
No, absolutely. There's nothing wrong or inferior about it to the cover. It's just odd to see the other
yeah,
statues be
the
so close.
ones.
But yeah, there's
Yeah,
nothing's
and
perfect. I mean, they're both perfect. Like the way
yeah,
that you couldn't, no complaints at all here from me and Tyler. It's just curiosity more than anything of why it changed up from the
yeah,
cover to
it's
the
that's
statue.
always why I bring it up, the fly on the wall again of like, how are these decisions made? How's that, again, being in the art and just like, an artist in the industry, I know how that stuff is, that back and forth of, translating 2D to 3D, and sometimes, certain things just don't work out, especially from a production standpoint, like you said, whether it's the box needed to be a
Yep.
specific size or anything like that. Um,
And being an
but
accountant, I know when things don't add up, and it doesn't add up that they
yeah,
didn't do it. So
yeah.
that was my horrible, horrible, horrible play on words there, Tyler. I was trying. That's true because I have no expertise in statues at all, but
Oh,
I am a
I
fan.
yeah.
I always love to have Tyler give his input as an artist because Tyler can look at these and see things that I can't see, and it's always really helpful whenever Tyler can kind of see kind of the design purpose behind it. Because I look at it and I'm like, I feel like I'm playing one of those puzzle games that you find in like in a doctor's office as a kid, where you're trying to circle the differences. And
Yeah. Oh yeah, spot the differences.
but
Yeah.
yeah, and Tyler could see more of the dynamic behind it and why the design reason was going in there. So yeah, I respect Tyler's opinion a whole lot more than I respect mine. I'm that. So
No,
he's
I
a
mean
lot
it's
better.
interesting. I mean, like you said, you bring up the point of being the numbers guy, of that kind of stuff, knowing that side of things, and especially for
Oh, I was just
big orders,
joking.
I'm sure, and that
Sorry,
kind of
sorry.
stuff. No, I mean it
Yeah.
is. I mean it's again, it's that it's the experience, that your own personal experience and how it relates to the said thing. So it's interesting, and like I said, it's just questions I have, like you said, not because of I think that it's bad choices or anything, but it's just like, oh, why did this, like you said, end up differently, than the previous statues. But it's one, like I said, I'm so lucky to have been able to be there for this release and to grab it when I could have. And to have it signed, he signed the mushroom. I think that's the main place he signs it because that's the easiest place to sign it without breaking anything. I know
Yeah, I
my
thought you said you
headpiece
had.
had broken, so
Where did you say you had it signed it? Like, is it the same
Uh,
spot he signed the
I
one
think I was
with?
like the same spot as Marine. It's that I would point, but nobody can see it. But it's that
Gotcha.
mushroom spot, the middle left there, looking at that head-on picture. I think it's like the biggest
Okay,
spot. So it's like that's I think the easiest spot for his signature to like show
cool.
up on. Um at least like I said, from seeing Marines and then seeing mine, it like I think that's pretty much the same spot we got ours signed. And I appreciated that he signed it on it because sometimes people sign the bottom and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's fine. Like,
yeah.
I want to see your signature. I'm getting it signed because I want to be able to see, the signature on it and everything.
Oh, most
So,
definitely. Yeah. And knowing how big of a I Hate Fairyland fan you are, I know this is probably one of the gems of your collection because
yeah, it
it's such
sits
a
in the
great
middle. I'm
statue.
like, if I had to remove any, like that would be the last one to like, remove to make more space, for anything. So, yeah, it's like I said, the statue in the middle, and then I have the print I got there, the first cover, and then on the right I have the print of Gert's skeleton. It's not the final cover, but I kind of like it's like, oh, her end, of her dying and
Yeah.
stuff. So, um, Yeah, no, I hope to see, more merch, as we'll see coming up. Maybe there's some more stuff. Maybe statues are included in that because I would, man, like Larry, getting a Larry statue would be amazing, to go with this or Duncan or somebody. So,
Yeah, and now we've got multiple artists for Gert to see different variations of the different artists.
yeah,
Their version of Gert would be really
that
cool too.
that really would be cool. A Brett Bean version, a Derek
Yeah,
version. Yeah, it'd be really
yeah.
cool to get that different take. So,
Oh yeah, you can't forget
hey,
Duncan. You can't forget
yes,
Duncan.
Duncan
That
love.
guy
I
is
love
insane.
Duncan and kid Duncan. I don't mind adult Duncan, but
Kid
I,
Duncan.
I
Yeah,
want a youthful, innocent Duncan.
yeah. And happy and happy. All of these.
Exactly.
This is the one that makes me so mad every time I look at it. I get so angry because it is such a tipper. It tips like crazy. Its little pinky got broken off, or forefinger, or middle
Oh no, I
finger. I
forgot.
don't
Yeah,
know
you
which.
had your pinky on this one. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it is from the Avengers versus X-Men cover, the Midtown Comics classic that we all know and love. But he I don't know if it's just mine, but every time I set it up and if I look at it and it looks back at me for a few seconds and then it just falls forward, and I get so aggravated. I prop it up against the wall, the side, and then I
Yeah,
eventually put it into a hard
I was
protective
say I'm
case
living
in
life
front of.
dangerously. Mine's on the front right now, like right up to the edge of like the shelf that it's on.
Whew,
Um,
he's going to take off flying one day,
I
Ty.
know, and it is like you said, it is definitely one of the few that just doesn't feel very sound. Um,
Now look at his
you
foot.
know,
Look at the foot where
yeah.
he's positioned at, and like the pin coming up through, it's not big, and his helmet's so solid that it's begging to tip over. It wobbles. I actually put
I
some like
should have,
lug
yeah, I should have
nuts on the
included a
back of it.
side shot of this one.
Yeah, that would have been. I didn't think about it till right now either, but I put some lug nuts or something on the back of it for a while to like
That was it,
counterbalance
yeah.
it. But it's still once I put it in the pop protector box, the hard shell boxes, um, yeah, pop stacks. I couldn't think what they were called for a second. I
Mm,
put it and I pushed it all the way to the front where his head's leaning up against it. I feel a lot more secure, but I do hate the fact that this one did break, and because I do love this one. This one is really
yeah.
cool, and who doesn't love Magneto? I mean, the main X Men villain in many people's eyes, or villain, however you want to describe him.
Yeah,
Um,
morally gray.
yeah, I would get a lot of hate mail for that one, but I do hate that
Um,
he's a tipper. He tips
no, he's a
timber.
great statue and this one's interesting to me
You've been
because
warned.
the scale of him I feel like he's one of the few that's maybe a little bit bigger than his actual scale would be compared to the rest
Yeah,
of the statues we have.
I can see
Um
that.
just again just a tad bit bigger.
Slightly, just slightly. Yeah,
Yeah, just slightly, just to emphasize, and it makes sense. But again, now that they're playing more with scale, like the Spider-Man on the chimney, which we'll eventually get to, that one's a lot
yeah,
smaller than most of the other ones we've gotten.
yeah. I think that's
Um,
a trade-off you get for having more of the diorama is
yeah,
having
more of the
having the
environment
material
on it
smaller.
and stuff, exactly. But yeah, no, this is a really solid one, and yeah, again, the only thing would be cool is like maybe some of the magic around his hands would be really cool.
Yeah,
The spot effect there, so.
yeah. You're right. You're right. Any of these, if they could have put something, because so many of these have effects coming out of them, that would have been. And we'll see like the Doctor Strange later on, much later on, that has
True.
some of those effects. Yeah, if you could have got some of that to these, you're absolutely you're hitting that right on the head. That would have been perfect.
Or man, if we could have gotten that Iron Man there on that one of him mid transformation
Yeah,
with the diaper, like, that would have been just
that would have been cool.
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
That one would be really difficult 'cause you'd have to have a lot of clear sticks, to get those pieces to float. But yeah, that one would be a really, really fun one. So
This one always I always wondered why one eye was bigger than the other eye for this one.
yeah.
I couldn't pinpoint it until this is one I didn't realize what the cover was for until I found this one while doing the same thing, doing the search for old covers and seeing on the front of the Marvel Now Uncanny Adventures. But if you look at this, the picture, the image over there of the comic and the actual statue, like even the curl, the not the curl, but the flip of his hair on the left there, the position, the eyes, the shape of the eyes, the huge left eye, the small right eye, it matches perfectly with the design. And looking at it on the comic, it looks natural. I don't know the statue of all of the statues that we've seen so far. I like this one, but it's not my favorite. It's not my
It's
favorite one.
yeah, again, and as we talk about again, I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna,
Um,
just sell you like, oh, I love it. Like it's a sky, like I have to love it. Like again, this is my
no,
least favorite out of all the Gentle Giant statues.
yeah,
And and looking at it and thinking again, like you said, I think the biggest thing for me that makes this a miss is the fact that there's just hardly any outlines whatsoever on his face. Like
yeah,
his
yeah.
eyes are
That's
lost in his face because it's pale and it's white of his eyes, and like again, there's no outlining. That's what really sells Skottie's work is his ink work. Um, on stuff is just so interesting and it's so weighty and different, and giving those outlines again, like you look at the hammer on the right, just having those outlines versus just a solid block of just gray, it's like like you couldn't have given an outline. And again, it's stuff that they're doing way more now than they did, and I'm sure
yeah,
again it's a production thing, but even compared to I'm trying to think, and again, like it even, I mean, if I look at all the ones we've looked at so far, Captain America, Thanos, Magneto, they all generally don't have that outline on them. They're all generally just solid colors. So again, it's a
yeah,
production thing that they were able to eventually get to, um, that they just didn't have on these. But I think would have really helped the Thor here, because I really like that Thor on that cover, especially because these for me are that blend between his old style and his baby style.
yeah,
Like it isn't true, like it isn't like that full on baby that he's gotten to. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, it's the pose is great and it's a great cover. But yeah, like you said, it's also again just the scale. This one is just also again really big
yeah.
compared to some of the other ones. Like they really scaled him up for some reason, which just makes it off putting, kind of sitting next to some of the other characters, in my opinion. So
Right, and it looks good on the cover with the other characters. It just not does not translate as well to 3D, in my opinion. But it's also another reason I don't like this one is that it's a tipper. It falls over as well. And
really,
Ryan even wrote this. I had to this one, Daredevil and Magneto are all
hmm,
ones that I had to counterbalance with bolts and nuts on their scale. And maybe
interesting. Yeah,
this is just mine.
my Thor one, I've got that one. I've not had any problems with, thankfully.
Yeah. So
Um,
it may just be an issue with mine, the way it was production produced together. But yeah, those three are the ones that I had the
no, I
most
don't know.
issues
Ryan
with.
has his taped to the shelf on the back of it, so
So yeah, that was I guess, a common theme with this one. But
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, and I hate that too because I love Thor, and I was this one could have had potential, but I think the execution of it wasn't the best, and you know that just shows that me and Tyler aren't complete homers. We're just 99% homers for Skottie. And this isn't Skottie's fault. This is Gentle Giant's fault.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we would never
exactly.
blame Skottie for this. But the
Yeah,
other thing,
Scotty's flawless for sure. So
yeah. Good gravy. Uh, that restraining order is getting longer and longer every day. So uh, the my least favorite one is not in this series, and and we'll get to it later. I won't spoil which one's my least favorite, and it's not anything to do with Skottie or anything. But to me, it feels like a Diamond Select toy, more of a vinyl figure than a Skottie statue. It doesn't fit in as well, and we'll reveal that one at a later date.
yeah, I'll be curious because like I said, I think for me, this one I think is my personal least favorite out of the entire bunch. So I'll be curious when we get to yours to see which one that one
Yeah,
is. Um,
I think I've told you before, but we won't spoil it here. We won't get into it too
yeah.
much. But yeah. Oh, that's it.
Or
That's it. That
sorry, go
completes our.
go back just one real quick
Oh,
1 second.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that one again, just pointing out again the edition size down to 3,000 again.
Was
Um,
a Yeah. So they had a
Magneto was
run
3,000.
because it was at just a real quick back. Yes, 4,000 was the last one for Rocket and
It
Groot.
grew, gotcha.
Then we had our 3,000, and then of course the San Diego Comic Con exclusives were low volume, and then you
Yeah,
had a run of 3,000. But then when we get into the next wave or two, you'll see some. You won't be at the four digits. You'll see some in the triple digits. So
yeah,
it did drop down for some reason and then came back. But that's for another show. We'll save that
yeah.
for another show.
Exactly. That's for when Merch Madness continues.
That's right. Hour and 14 minutes, and we completed the first. Good thing we didn't do more than 8 or 9, or else it would
I
have been
know.
this long.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk. That's why I said, yeah, I was like, man, we're gonna start with
You're
statues.
right.
That's a lot.
You called it, man. You were right on that one. All right. You Complete Me challenge is officially over. Kenneth Sebelin was the winner. And I love the fact that when Kenneth won, he's like, this makes me cool in my kids' eyes. This is more this is worth more than any prize that you all could send me. And as a father, yeah, I can respect that 100%. Anything that makes you cool in your kids' eyes, you got to go with that. So
I always
congratulations to
love that.
Kenneth.
Yeah.
And Seth and Josh and Daniel and Maureen and Ryan and Zach and Mark and Bruce and Shane, who rounded out the top 10. All of you all have amazing collections. And I'm sure I posted everybody that competed, all 52 participants on the next page, the rest of them. And some of them, as you get over into that third column, it doesn't look like they have many points, but not everybody has time to participate every day
Yeah.
and pull comics. And I've, of course, this row, they did a heck of a job pulling them. They did a great job. But
I mean, 215 away from the total points for Kenneth is quite the feat. So
yeah, it's very, very impressive. And just knowing that the books that he missed, he can name on one hand.
yeah,
It was 3 books. So I think there might have even just been 2. But yeah, very impressive. Seth was right there. There was one 500-point book that got him.
yeah.
The Brook City Bunch. Maybe that's 2. But yeah, that was. And then there was some non-Skottie covers that got him. But Rick, yeah.
Oh, I tried.
I tried. I thought that's what I tried. I knew Seth and Josh had me. Josh had an amazing run too. Daniel, if he's still on here, Daniel did such an awesome job. He's missing 3 of the 4 big books, and that's what got him. Or else Daniel would have been right up there with everybody else, close to perfection. So it's Daniel, for percentage point wise, was right there with the books he's got. Josh has an amazing collection. We saw some of his stuff that he had at Kansas City. We all know Seth has an amazing collection. Maureen was on here with her collection, and
Yep.
again, she may have even had more. There were some books that Maureen said that she had. I believe I've even seen them in the group. It's just locating them. It's so hard to pick books. When Skottie's got so many, and all these other people have not just Skottie books, they have all these other artists' books. So very impressive that they were able to pull out the ones they could. And I'm not going to Ryan. Every time Ryan C posted a picture, he would post it surrounded by all these beautiful statues and graded books and art. So same thing with oh shoot, who was the other person that was doing it? Was Ryan Pratt? Ryan Pratt would post. I think Ryan gave me a rough time. I would post 10 books and he would post 1 book, and it'd be hidden among all these awesome books. And I would go to find out which book to add to his spreadsheet, and I would get lost looking at all his other stuff that he had there. And I would almost think, I was like, which book am I even? What's the points for this one? But
well, that was a lot of this competition. I mean, as we saw with Kenneth, Kenneth would just pull out original art. It was like, whoa, what is happening here? Like, it's
3 pages from 15 years ago.
Exactly. So I was like, wow, holy cow.
You did. It was impressive. It entertained me during this. So it's a lot of fun. Kudos to everybody that participated. And I want to give these people credit too. All of them, Gerard, Amika, Corey, Lisa. I mean, all these people were hovering right in that top 10, and they would come in and come out and come in and come out. Jerry put up a valiant effort. There's all these other people here that just did a wonderful job. I wish I could name them all, but I won't to bore everybody. But the good news is, next week's special guest, Kenneth. I think he goes by Ken. He signs his emails and things as Ken.
Okay.
Ken Sebelin will be our guest on here next week, and it just worked out well. Where he's off of his job next Wednesday, so he's gonna come here and hang out with us and tell how it is to be king of the You Complete Me challenge. Plus, we'll be doing our May giveaway in June. But it'll be all the people that participated, all 51 members, other than Kenneth or Ken, will be put into a massive wheel by my buddy Tyler, and we will spin it. And one of you lucky 51 contestants will win the $25 gift shop. Not a gift shop, a $25 Skottie shop gift card.
Gift card too. Yeah,
we're hitting the wall. We're hitting the wall. So yeah, Kenneth, Ken, I'm looking really forward to having him on here, and hopefully he can bring some of that OA and show us that live on the
Yeah,
show, so you can see some
that would
old
be a
school
blast.
Skottie art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to wrap it up, we had 3 last days. Of course, I Hate Fairyland was going to be one of the last days that we went over. And my favorite cover from I Hate Fairyland is a lot of people's favorite covers is the very first one there on the
Yeah.
left, the Image of Tomorrow cover. But I picked some of these from some of my favorites. So if you wondered, hey, why is Bill S there at the end? Because I love that cover. I love the first baby Gert, and I think Ryan C. It's a hey, can I get points for it being a color one? No, this was a higher ratio, so like the pure art of the black and white. So, but A for effort on that. So that had to be included.
Yeah,
This
all
was
great
Ryan's
covers.
day. This was Ryan's day. It was going to be an Iron Man day by itself, and then I thought, oh crud, I didn't do the Ninja Turtles. I didn't do the Transformer. I got to do those books. So. Uh, and what amazed me about these is the fact that I didn't realize how expensive some of these Iron Man covers were. So shame on me for not knowing that. But yeah, man,
Yeah,
some of these are pretty expensive.
yeah, I'm lucky to own 3 of the 5 there. I still need Infamous Iron Man and Tony Stark Iron Man. Tony Stark Iron Man is the one that I want the most. And I'm just gonna have to just grab it at some point, just rip the band-aid, if you will. But I'm really glad I own the Galaxy and the Armored Adventures. Those are 2 of my favorite Iron Man covers.
Those are really cool. I've always
Again,
loved them, but I didn't realize they were pricey like they were. So those are really good pickups.
And they've only gone up because I mean they were okay when I got them, and that was only like a few years ago was when I finally grabbed them. But they've even more so quickly have gone up in price. So
raspberry.
It's so rare because Skottie, just doesn't like drawing Iron Man.
But he's so good at it. He's so good at it.
I know that's what kills me is like, I love this page too, just from baby style to the Armored Adventures to the Galaxy. I mean, they're just even that Marvel Adventures bottom right. I mean, they're just so different, the styles. So
oh yeah, this was a good smorgasbord of covers. And the only thing that could top this day's worth of covers is day 31, which had to be the big Marvel.
The big one.
Yeah, 54 covers all in all. And Seth, I got a kick out of it because he didn't realize I was using his image. But for anybody that didn't know, the cover, the image on the right of the 1 in 50 variant, 1 in 50 ratio set is Seth's picture from his haul. I think from his Instagram, I pulled it from.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could see the 2 the mute button in the bottom right and the person button in the bottom left. Because I've had to grab from Skottie and theirs Instagram, and I'm always like, oh, I'm just grabbing straight from the Insta, and they make it so hard to get the image. So
yeah, there's not a lot of people that would post them together like this to have them all in one image. And even whenever there was several shops that were selling the set, but I couldn't find any images that had them all together. So I remember Seth posted it, and I think Dr. Tracy had posted the CGC graded ones.
I was gonna say, the graded ones, she did, which was really cool. So,
but this one was the best image to see every single book, all 27 of them, all together. Well, shoot, Robert, or Calvin. Calvin's got a different name on Facebook, so that's why I was trying to make sure. So I almost called him by his fake name. I didn't realize that, or I could have grabbed it from you too. But I remembered Seth, and I thought it would be funnier to see Seth see that he had his own image there, and not giving me points unless he posted a new image there.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Any new Skottie items this week?
Yes, from last week I got of course I've got my graded one coming, but I picked up at my comic store the What If Donald Duck Became Iron Man. I had to grab this, of course. Cool, I love Iron Man, and these have honestly become my favorite. Again, this goofiest Spider-Man coming up is hilarious, and I can't wait to add that one to the collection. And speaking of one that's gone up in price surprisingly very quickly, is the Exquisite Corpses.
Wow, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, that people have been posting. I did not realize this was going to go up, as much as it did. Again, I grabbed it just because I really like this cover. I did actually pick up the cover A from my store to read, and ended up quite liking this. I added it to my pull list. I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'm excited to see this character specifically. I love the way Skottie drew this character. So what drew me to it is just this ridiculous, rabbit character, in this costume, and then of course all the blood and everything. So,
And the
and I love the
teeth,
signature on it. So,
the teeth. I think it's Gideon Falls, or I can't remember the name of the book that Skottie did.
yes.
That has the
Yep.
teeth on it that matches that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Gideon Falls has that big smile on it. Yeah, it's that same sort of deal. So, yeah, super super glad to have this one. I still need to post on Instagram. I've been really late and lacking on posting stuff to Instagram. So,
okay. I was starting to remove you, and I was making sure I hit the right button. I was really
no, I
concentrating
figured, yeah,
hard
I'd
to
make it, make it
make it. Thank
easy.
you,
I know
thank
you're
you.
working on your phone, so.
Yeah. Oh no, no, I've got the laptop pulled up
Oh,
too.
that's it. The laptop.
That's
That's
why I
it. You're
keep looking
watching on the
down.
phone.
I'm
Gotcha.
watching on the
That's it.
phone, but Dad got it. That was you. I'm glad I didn't bid on that one. Okay, but congratulations. That was an
Very
awesome.
nice.
It stayed at zero bids up until like right going on. I thought I'm going to bid on this thing if there's no bids. And then I forgot about. I got busy at work, and I checked it out later for what it sold for, and it looks like there was two people bidding. So congratulations, man. That's an awesome pickup. So happy
Yeah,
and happy
I
and
have
happy
my eye on
birthday.
that one. Yeah, I'll have to check. Yeah, what it ended up going for. So
Yeah, I won't say it on here
no,
to
yeah,
it,
that's fair. Yeah.
but yeah, it's a 3
Oh, I
seconds
see.
is a sweet spot.
Well,
You see it?
funny enough, I had it as soon as I pulled up eBay. It was still up on from last time that I was looking at it. So
Oh, cool. But yeah, I was
yeah, and
surprised.
then
I thought there's gonna be some sniping on that one. I knew it
there
wasn't
was
going to go for
there
open
was
bid.
that one, and then I don't know if you saw the graded defects that somebody grabbed for a really great price.
I didn't see that one.
It ended up going for like $75, 9.8 defects.
Oh, mouth drop.
I tried bidding and it kept saying I was outbid. And I was like, I don't even know the limit this person put on, and I'm just not even gonna compete with it. So
Yeah. Well, dang. Well, the only thing I've already posted to the group what I got, but I'll show again. It's
yeah, show it off.
I Hate Fairyland issue 6, I believe.
Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, it's written on the back. Yeah, issue 6, page 12. I didn't realize it was written on the back in ink. But
That's so good.
I think that's
It's
Skottie's writing
so
too.
dark. The inks are super heavy. I love that.
Yeah, I'm going up slowly. I can't see what I'm.
I love that, the silhouette.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite. I've got another. I've got my other page from Oz. One of the Oz books has Dorothy's and the silhouette, and I love when he
Mm.
does the black. That, but also having Larry on, Gert and Larry on there is what I
Oh
really
yeah,
wanted. So very
exactly.
pleased,
Yeah,
very thrilled with this. This one came from Spain, so
that's awesome. That's
so
yeah. It's
happy
such a
about it.
cool. Again, we talked about it. Yeah, I would love to get a page from original, Fairyland run with Skottie on it. That's still maybe a goal. Hopefully get something like that. But yeah, no, Calvin, like Calvin said, yeah, the Brett. I'm glad to own a few from Brett on his run. I'm looking forward to picking up Derek's work. Maybe some other people. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, very cool
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. That's more foreshadowing. We like
Yeah,
our Chekhov's gun there.
exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of Imperial, from a few minutes ago, whenever who said they were reading it, I have to go back up here a little bit.
Oh, did somebody mention that? Oh yeah, Ryan just finished reading
Yeah, there we go.
Imperial.
There we go. So that's awesome. This book came out this week. This was the only book, and me and Tyler had a major faux pas earlier because we thought we were going to be reviewing issue 41 of I Hate Fairyland today. I don't know why we
I
thought that, but
I know, yeah.
we were very
Like I said,
excited
I'm
about
trying
it.
to be better about keeping up with dates and stuff, but yeah, looking it up, and yeah, it's gonna be next week when we have Ken on. So
Yeah, we probably won't do a Merch Madness episode next week, or else we'll be on
yeah,
here because I really want to be able to highlight Ken's collection. And next week he's liable to say, "Nobody calls me Ken. Everybody calls me Kenneth or Kenny," but we're gonna call him Ken until we
we'll
know
have to
otherwise.
find out. Yeah,
Yeah, first thing we'll find out. But I'm really interested in hearing about his story and his collection, and then talking about I Hate Fairyland 41 with him. So
I'm
that'll take up.
so excited. I cannot wait. We've gotten lots of glimpses, of Derek's work so far and some of the writing and stuff, but again, it's gonna be so fun to be able to. I read more than I have before than ever, the stuff I sub from, but it's always special to be able to get a Skottie run, and especially with getting Derek on there. I'm super pumped about that. So
Oh, absolutely, very excited about that.
yeah,
And we'll bring Ken on. Oh,
mm,
I start saying we'll bring Ken on and we'll do his collection and everything he wants to talk about, and he's more than welcome to stick around while we talk I Hate Fairyland. He
Yeah.
may not be a fan of Skottie's writing. He may just like his art, but we'll find out. Well, hopefully he's a fan of his writing as well. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it with him, and he's more than welcome to stay around as we talk about that issue.
Very nice.
Pre-orders for this week. I think we probably touched on this one the previous weeks, but they released the cover B of this one, and we're
Yeah.
gonna. So it's really cover A with a lot more going on in the background, a lot more chaos going on in
That
the background.
explosion, yeah.
So I want to make sure and highlight that this week.
No, I like that, and I like the touch of
sorry.
the shadowing on that. Like everything is
No,
shadowed more by the big explosion in the back. So
that's a nice touch. I didn't even pick up on that.
it's one of the few though. I'm surprised that it didn't add blood. They always like that. As of late, the thing has been to add a lot of blood. So, but I mean, I guess the big nuclear like explosion in the background is more than enough carnage. So.
Yeah, that's. I actually, whenever you said that, I was looking at this one earlier, and I was trying to find something dead on it or something bloody on it.
Right? Yeah, I was like looking for the limb, or yeah, exactly.
All right, no new items at the Skottie shop this week. Am I right about that? Or did I...
Nope. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I double checked, but yeah, there's nothing that I saw.
Okay, I left this one the same because I couldn't. But breaking news, there was a whole lot of stuff. This went from being a really busy week to being like a really, really busy week.
Yeah.
And we're approaching the 91-minute mark, and we've still got. Gosh, we could probably do an episode on these last 3 slides that we're about to talk about here. But have you had a chance to listen to the full? I think I know the answer, but I'll ask you for the audience. Have you had a chance to listen to the Inkpulp podcast?
I did, yes. I was able to listen to it, and I backed him on Patreon to get that little extra, bit of Skottie talk. Got to see him eat a donut, which was
Pac-Man donut. Donut.
Yeah, the Pac-Man donut. So glad to see that he's a fan of Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme, in my opinion, hands down best donut. I love Krispy Kreme donuts. I could die from Krispy Kreme donuts and be happy. So
good. The only thing I had in mind when I saw him get the 3-pack is he going to eat all 3 of those? Because I would totally eat all 3 of those.
I don't know. I can do that with like regular like chocolate ice glaze, but like those special ones, they're got so much extra stuff on it. So it just depends. Looking at them, I was like, man, those are big and heavy. So.
You're right. But I thought, is that one for John, one for Megan, and one for Skottie? Or is it 3 for Skottie? And I thought if it was me, it'd be 3 for me, and I'd be sick. But those all looked really good. They look really good.
No, I mean, they did. Yeah. And, I wouldn't have, put it, giving them a hard time for eating all 3 because those are so cool too. When they do those collabs and everything. So.
Oh, yeah. That's really good. So Seth had some breaking news for us for the shop. So we'll highlight his comment and go back to this slide. So there were some trade paperbacks in the warehouse sale. So thanks.
Yes, I did. That was I forgot. They did post about the Middle West that they'd gotten some more of those in stock. And they also threw on the I Hate Fairyland. They still surprisingly have packs of the I Hate Fairyland prints, which is astounding to me. I'm like, I'm going to buy another set just because, again, I love I Hate Fairyland so much, but I'm like, man, please people go buy those. They're so awesome that they were able to bring those back and get those extra prints in. And they look gorgeous in person, like all their other prints. So,
okay, I should have said spoiler alert. If anybody hasn't listened to the Inkpulp podcast and don't want to be spoiled, please stop listening now. And also, Skottie did his Instagram video live that yesterday, and we're going to talk about that next. So I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but just please turn away quickly. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So the news that Skottie was talking about on the the Inkpulp guys, which is an awesome group of artists. I mean, I've got to start listening to those guys more. They do such a good job. The last time Skottie was on there, it was very entertaining, and I'm going to listen to Brett's interview as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to Brett's. I didn't realize like Jim had joined Sean and Mateo full time because I thought it was
Eric. Wasn't Eric the third guy on there? Eric,
I think so. Yeah,
so it's like Kanati or Kanati. I can't pronounce. I've never heard his name pronounced, but
yeah,
he's a great artist. But he was on there whenever Skottie did the last interview, I believe. And then Jim, like you said, I didn't realize Jim was like the rounded out the trio of the guys there, and the really good chemistry between those 3 guys.
They do, yeah, and actually, I just didn't, or only just occurred to me. I do also want to um put in their Kickstarter that Sean just did for Ink Pulp for his book.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
just dropped that Kickstarter. I'll once I get the link here, I'll post it. Really cool looking art book. Sean's art is fantastic. I mean, all their art is fantastic. But Sean is got a Kickstarter for his newest art book, and again, it's not just art. It's the reasoning behind it, his motivations and that kind of stuff to give you more of a glimpse into like the stuff that he does and why he does certain things and stuff. So it's been back. They're trying to reach their Kickstarter, their stretch goals to get some extra stuff in there. So I'll link
Cool.
that if you're interested. Go fund that. So
Check it out. And I believe he's going to be at Heroes. And
oh, is he?
if I remember correctly, his commission list is open. And if I don't remember correctly, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure it's on.
Mateo's is as well, and I'm like, man, oh, there's too many
Yeah.
people I want art from right now.
I picked up a Mateo piece from a Clan McDonald sale that they had. They had Matt uh, DeTulo. I'm maybe butchering his last name, but he was selling art on there, and he had a Mateo piece of Black Cat, and I picked it up, and it's awesome. So
His
such a great.
yeah, I mean both of them, yeah, their commissions, yeah, just look so good, and I love Mateo's black and white, like it's because I think it's watercolor or like the inks, like washed down inks that he uses. Just yeah, his again, ever since Black Science, my friend introduced me to that, I was like, wow, this art is freaking amazing. So
Well, we got time. I'm gonna.
but I'd say yeah, go grab it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
So
I don't get to post this stuff. I don't usually post this stuff on the Skottie group, so I'll post it here. But you can see,
oh man,
and just the way the shading. I mean, the buildings is incredible. The way he did that. I'll give a
yeah, it's
the
just like
light
that. It's that detail and everything. It's the window. I mean, look at that. Just the little tiny windows.
and just the white rain. Not to be crass or anything, but just the white rain that's
Yeah.
coming through on the. You can see it's black, but it's white. Like the way he
Yeah.
transitions it. Really, really cool. Really cool.
No, yeah, that's super, super awesome art. Really love that. Yeah, that's a great piece. So yeah, I mean getting art from any of these guys and again the fact, it's so cool that Skottie and them are all friends, they're so similar in their interest and just hanging out and chatting and stuff. So yeah, like you said, this is the second time he was on and it was just as fun of an episode as the first one. So
When I first pulled it up, I thought the episode was 3 hours long. I misread it. It was released 3 hours previous to when I pulled it up. I was like, "Good gosh, they talked for 3 hours. That's almost like me and Tyler."
I wish I
But
would listen to these guys, chat for 3 hours for sure.
I was
So
looking forward to it. I was excited, and then I saw it was an hour, and I was still excited. It's still good stuff.
exactly.
But Skottie dropped a lot of
Yeah.
breaking news in that episode. I hate Fairyland socks. They're coming to the
Yes.
shop. Timed merch releases, which he didn't really go into that in too detail, but he talked about the complexities with having T-shirts and different sizes and have to keep in stock. But he talked about doing time releases where you say they'd be set up for 24 hours, 72 hours, a week, whatever, and then at the end of that, the orders would be fulfilled. I've seen other people do that.
And that's
Skottie,
smart, especially for clothes. I mean, that's tough, when you have to carry all different sizes and you run out of
yeah,
one, don't run out of another. And I can only imagine how, frustrating that can be. So timed releases is a smart idea for that.
I think so too. That was one of the questions I'd ask him on the Ask Me Anything about shirts, and he had said coming soon. So looking forward to see what they decide to go with. If it's going to be a
Yeah.
stupid fresh mess, or if it's going to be some his own, if it's going to be Gert, if it's going to be another book that he's did on his own, creator own, or what. So yeah, thanks for hanging. Thank you, Keith, for hanging with us as long as you did. I know it's
Yes.
a
Thank
longer
you.
show
Appreciate it.
tonight,
Yeah.
so very much appreciated. Hugs and high fives right back at you, brother. But Kickstarter first, Skottie has not did a Kickstarter. He's contributed to campaigns
Yeah.
before, but he's saying that and he really goes into detail about why now is a good time to get into Kickstarter. So listen to it for more detail. But not to bury the lead, Boy at the End would be his first Kickstarter effort if he decides to go that way, which it sounds like he's leaning there. So would you pledge to that campaign if he did it, Tyler?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
100%. Yeah. It's like you said, it's really cool. The fact, I do love Kickstarter. I've backed quite a few Kickstarters now. Like I said, I just backed Ink Pulp's Sean's, new art book. Again, just the difference you get for that over there versus maybe just through their own store. I love the stretch goals, getting to see that stuff reached, and where you get to choose your level of how much you want to back it, whether you just hey, here's $5, or hey, I want to get, the big
Yep.
deal package, kind of a deal. So, and they always have great goodies, especially when artists are involved, sometimes commissions or sketches, things like that. So, who knows, maybe Skottie, kind of plays into that.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, I would be there 100%, day one as soon as it launches, and backed as much as I could. So
Yeah, depending on what the number is that they're trying to reach, I'd say this would be one that got met probably within the first hour. I would say they would hit their goal.
yeah. Yeah, and it's cool, and
It,
that's one of the things, I'm sure that, bringing Derek on, because Derek, knows Kickstarter well, or Jim, just had his Kickstarter, Sean and those
yeah,
guys doing Kickstarter. So, again, getting that information from them and being able, like you said, and they talk about it more, so I won't go into it in depth, but just, where it is today versus where it was when it first started out, and, why it's, now is the best time to be able to do something like this. So, yeah, I really hope, yeah, they're able to pull something like that off. And I think that would be perfect, honestly, to do, the boy at the end, and really, just, do it go as big as he wants to go, kind
yeah,
of a deal.
I agree. And the last two issues were both hit on I Hate Fairyland with Derek Loffman. Skottie pretty much telling him, here's the keys. It's yours for as long as you want it. And Derek being very excited about it. So
Yeah.
it sounds like his run's going to be indefinitely. There's no set number on it, which, Scott, to be fair, Skottie said, he didn't really have a set number on Brett's whenever he started either. But Brett was going to go do his own project, and
Yeah.
which we're looking forward to seeing. And so, but
Well,
hopefully Derek will stay on there for a while.
well, yeah, and I was gonna say, because it is funny, because they kind of talked about, like, he did have a little bit of that with Derek, but then, like you said, that they're both just seem to
Yeah,
be having such a great time, and yeah, hearing Skottie talk about Derek, and yeah, it's, again, it makes me more excited for the series, and I'm incredibly happy to see the Derek, indefinitely, from, from here till when he wants to stop, or Skottie and them.
yep.
Like, I'm all for that, and can't wait to be able to add more of his stuff to the collection. So
And with that, I think it's also nice they're bringing Jay Fosgood in, who was
yes.
Skottie has worked with him, much like Brett Bean. He's worked with him on
Mhm.
Rocket Raccoon. So it'll give Derek a break. If Derek doesn't want to do it for a quarter, he can set out while Jay comes in and relieves him for 2 to 3 months. So I think that'll be the perfect mixture where Derek does 8 or 9, 8 to 10,
Oh
whatever he's
yeah.
going to do. Jay
And
comes in, does
Jay's,
his. Yeah,
yeah, and Jay's style fits in, just especially with Derek's stuff. They're very similar, their styles. So it'll be great to have the both of them on, and being able to yeah, bounce off of each other, and kind of, like you said, give Derek time to maybe do something else, or a break, or whatnot.
right.
So
All right, so we don't go on too much longer. Like I said, we could talk longer about that, but there was a lot of stuff revealed in 13 minutes of the Instagram live video yesterday. And I went back and listened to it again just to didn't miss. But this is going to be the ratio variant cover for 42, and as the bottom bullet point says, it happened accidentally. They solicited cover C ratio variant for Skottie. Skottie didn't realize that he had signed up for that, or didn't sign up for one, so he was given the option of either pulling it from previews, or pulling it from any of the catalogs and the comics, or actually doing one that had to be turned in almost immediately. He chose to do one, especially with the Helicorn, which is, I love this character
yeah.
so much. And I'm so glad he did. And he threw a little Finding Nemo in there. But there's still some, it was the first Scott cover C that Skottie did for 41 was a 1 in 25 ratio. I think Megan may have even mentioned this was a 1 in 25.
Mm.
If you go to the catalogs and the comic previews, they're saying it's a 1 in 10. I'm not sure what it'll eventually be, what it'll end up being, but it's going to be some type of ratio variant, and it's one that I'm hoping the Skottie shop puts up like they did with the Zelda one.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I would. Yeah, 100% would get this graded. Such a great cover. So cool to see the finishing touches on this one, and to see him sign it, during this live. Um, yeah, it's like you said, it's such a great character. And Skottie even talked about it a little bit in the ink pulp. Again, not going too
Yeah,
much into it, so you can go listen yourselves. But
very cool.
hopefully Mike Mignola, not Magnola, Mignola.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know. I just always
Manola.
think about it now. I'm like, man, I can't believe, but
Yeah,
again, names are, as somebody with a difficult last name, I understand and relate completely. But
yep.
yeah,
Larson.
no, this is, I can't wait to add another Skottie cover again. I'd love for him to do as many as he wants to do, and so I'm glad he chose
Yeah.
to. It's like you said in the video, hey, this I wasn't supposed to do this, and I'm just doing it today. I'm getting it done. So
I'm hoping they accidentally solicit a 43 cover sheet for him too. That'd be the running
at a
gag.
certain point, he'll
Every
catch on and be like,
yeah,
okay, come on, guys, fool me
guys,
once,
come on. Yeah, but he inks fast, and whenever they were asking for questions, and Skottie's like, "Hurry, I ain't fast, guys. Get in where you fit in." I loved that. I thought that was funny. I chuckled at
It
that. That
was,
was
yeah.
good. So the other news that dropped, there's not been a CGC announcement yet from CGC, but they said that Skottie will more than likely be back there in November signing. So that means everybody go sign up for CGC newsletters, because whenever they release the opportunity, you want to make sure if you want to get a remark, it's one of the only opportunities to get a remark from Skottie. So be watching out, and we'll make sure to announce it to the Skottie Young Appreciation Group on Facebook, and we'll also talk about it probably about every episode on Skottie Talk for you loyal viewers.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I got a blank I Hate Fairyland pink cover saved just for that occasion. So
just waiting to have some ink dropped on it. I love it. The other thing that we were almost got to see is the art that was being
the
pulled for Heroes.
tease.
But it was John said he is saving it for the next day. He's like, I'm saving it for the morning. So
Yeah.
we were so close to seeing what art was going to be at Heroes. But from what it sounds like, they have, and I just picture once again the Indiana Jones. They have boxes, and oh, you shut it, buddy. They have boxes. My door was open from the cabinet from where I pulled the statue out, so Chad
Oh,
saw it.
gotcha.
So I was telling him he could shut it if he wanted to, so nothing fell out. It's fine, but it's got a magnet on it. So, but I picture John just going through and flipping
Yeah.
through them and
The light spilling out of the box, like
yeah,
like whatever.
yeah, just
Because
throwing
again,
them,
I liked Megan's
there,
description of golden oldies and new hotness. So
yeah, sounds like Casey Kasem.
yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
you may be too young for that one. But the other thing that was mentioned that may not have been mentioned before was we had me, you, and Seth had got a visitor on here live. Me, you, and Seth had kind of speculated on what the print was going to be for Heroes that was going to be given out at Skottie's exclusive panel, or
Yes.
Skottie's spotlight panel is going to be exclusive print. And it sounded like Skottie had to work on it. He's like, I got to go work on the print. I got to go do the print. We've got an idea
Yes.
for the print. So that
Yeah.
makes me, I'm almost saying that it will be an original, something that we have not seen before, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, it does sound, yeah. It did make it
Unless I'm
sound like it
wrong.
was
I
going to be
might be wrong
something
about
new.
that.
So no, I think you're right. Like you said, yeah, there was tons of information flying around in this video, but
It was a
yeah,
lot,
I'm
but it was very
hopeful
entertaining.
that it's something, yeah, maybe specific for Heroes, or again maybe specific to Gerd or I Hate Fairyland or something like that. So
I hope so too. I mean, I'm excited. I'm very excited
oh
to
yeah,
see what that is.
I can't wait to I mean, not only to see the panel, but yeah, to get that print. So
Sorry, I thought the next slide was
no,
the
no, no,
hero
yeah,
slide. I
totally,
forgot
yeah.
about this one.
Speaking of
But
prints, yeah.
well, here we'll come back to, because just to wrap up the Heroes, there's only 16 more days. Very exciting, very exciting. This is the schedule, the tentative schedule. So make sure not to miss that panel on Sunday, because these prints will only be given out at the panel. So
Yeah.
make sure to show up to get those. And then our hero, and we'll go back to we'll finish up with the unoriginal art. But the Heroes meetup, it sounds like we're good to go at 7:30 Eastern on June 19th. We'll be having our greeting there. We'll meet out at the patio. If you look at the picture there on the left or on the right, you'll see the patio there. So look for either this guy or this guy right here. And this guy may have a Mickey Mouse set of ears on. He may have this hat on.
I'll
He may
probably
have
have
no
this set.
hat.
I'll save my Mickey ears for the
Oh, okay.
convention. So
Okay. But looking forward to seeing each and every one of y'all that can make it. And like I said, if you don't get to make it out Thursday night, please bump into us, not literally, but figuratively at the con.
Gently, if you do, yeah.
Gently. And then that's our message we end on. But we're going to end on this slide tonight, because this was breaking news.
Yeah. Still part
Tyler,
of Heroes as well, so.
Oh, that's true. That's right. That's right.
I was like, you're like wrapping up Heroes, and I go, this
point.
technically still, yeah, Heroes con, so.
Sorry, it's getting to our 2-hour point.
No.
I missed that, dude. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
No, you're totally fine.
But yeah, breaking news. This was this actually broke around lunchtime today.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it till 5 o'clock this afternoon, so I thought it was releasing right before our show. So, but this was great news. I was really hoping, me, you, and Seth had talked about the possibility of unoriginal prints being brought to the show, and we kind of thought it was going to happen, and this confirmed it today. So
Yeah, I
very
had
cool.
hopes, and I'm glad that they teased. I mean, I think maybe they teased it last year. I don't remember if they teased it last year or not, but because I know there were some that we didn't know about before up until we saw it at the show. But yeah, what a great one to start off with, Edge of Spider-Verse. There's a few other ones that I'd love to have, but again, I think these are great that they're continuing to do these. Again, they're down to the limited edition run of only 75, just like the last batch.
Right.
And they still have, a good handful of these on the website from the second batch as well as the first batch. Some that I still need to add to the pile that are missing, but not pile, but my art book. I say pile. I'm not just like shoving these in a
No.
in a corner. They're displayed in an art
Yeah.
book. Yeah, I'm
Getting
excited.
caught
I
up.
love these. Again, such a great idea from John and the group, and I love that they're continuing to do it. So
Yeah, very. When Skottie had said during the Ink Pulp podcast that they had tried to get away from a lot of prints, I kind of was thinking, I was like, I'm hoping he's talking the more traditional prints and not the
yeah,
unoriginal art prints. So I was so relieved when I saw these pop up today in the post. So
yeah. Yeah, yeah, we kind of talked about that. So
well, we had mentioned. I wondered if March Madness would be, because this is one of the ones that Dre picked that beat Skottie. I think this is the cover that beat Skottie. So
yeah,
whenever in the matchup, so need a Brick City Buds print, 500 points.
no,
Great
for
point,
sure.
Tim.
Yeah, it would be a great one. So
So
yeah, I'm
really
excited to
looking
see
forward to
what the
getting
other
these.
ones are. So
That was one of the cool things about Heroes Con last year, is seeing these hung up and seeing which new ones. I remember, like, I
oh
was on my phone zooming in trying to see which ones that was
yeah,
posted.
as soon as it was unveiled and came back and I saw that, like I said, that Avengers, I was like, oh snap! I was like, it
Yeah,
is
that was
that and
awesome.
Magneto. Like it's like three of my favorite covers were on there. I was like, oh no! I was like, yeah, it is on now. So
Well, I think I've got like 2% left on my phone. My earbuds keep dying. I have to keep switching ear to ear. So we're almost hit hour 2.
we're
So we
on
better call it
borrowed
a night.
time.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight for this long show, and hopefully it was informative somewhat and not too idiotic on my part. But Tyler, thanks for hanging with me during this one. And we've made it past our cough. My throat is dry as all sandpaper now, but we'll be all right. We'll be recovered by next Wednesday when we have special guest Ken on, winner of the You Complete Me contest.
Yes.
All right, wrap her up,
No,
fella.
it'll be great. Yeah. So like Dustin said, thank you for joining us. We'll be continuing the Merch Madness. Not next week. We'll have Ken, like Dustin said, as well as the High Fairyland 41. And then after that, we'll continue the statues. And then there's tons of those pins, clothes, all that kind of stuff. So look forward
Good
to
stuff.
seeing y'all again next week. And as we say, stay fresh, live messy, and we'll catch you guys later.
Peace.